Understand what I'm saying, Fred? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Cherie?
Again, am I there? Okay. Again, good evening. What I've witnessed at each and every meeting, town board, IDA, planning board work sessions, planning board meetings, has been the applicants demanding their desires, their wants to be met. It has appeared that the town's governance and response has chosen to be most lenient, least stringent standards to be upheld. Your choice of the EA versus the EI falls short in considering the quality of the human environment. Fully knowing this location is sensitive for many reasons, residences, bus stops, elementary school, and sight line to the State Route 17K, one would hope the scope of impacts would have held under a magnifying glass and the highest standards worked to, but no. How very sad. There has been spent so much time dedicated to protecting ourselves from what is occurring here. We should not have had, come on. We should not have had been the ones pointing out the flaws in site plans with the missing monitor well. We should not have had to have been the push behind the actual facts for the DEC monitoring post-closure compliance that the applicant stated was all correct. We should not have been the ones demanding this build be done with respect to the community surrounding this I-3 land. We should not have been the ones pointing out the lack of quality and responses in the FEAS, as this should have been done by this board. It should have been pushed back on and made correct from the start and not dismissed as minor. This is just one more justification for the belief that you have all chose the most lenient mode to operate. I am here because the applicant demands what they want for their own benefit. We have been told over and over that this property was made in I-3 and it is an island. It is not right for the area. In truth, we all know it was conforming harmonious as a residentially zoned until the owner requested it changed to address a non-conforming business that they were running. And we know that the RA zone built around it were in existence before the change by the town board was allowed. So this island was self-created to serve one owner and to cover their failure to use the land as was originally defined when purchased. So, here we are. No, you didn't make that change, but what is worse than that is this board, all the while knowing it is not really right zoned, is willing to entertain what this applicant wants and appears to be willing to further this island in its use. You were faced with it being subdivided, now creating 3 I-3s instead of 1. You were letting the applicant build 2 warehouses in one other whatever building for unknown use and pure spec build. In public or in documents, you failed to, at least to date, to further push back on the proposed warehouse along 17K for its size and location. It needs an SCU, which allows you some input and control. The lawyer states that the lessened height for it will devalue the property from a monetary standpoint and makes it less desirable for such a user. No one knows the user. And again, here we go with what their wants are, again and again, with the want not necessarily a true need. You fail from the start to require a deeper natural barrier between residence and warehouse. The minimum is what is set out in the code. You could demand more, but you at this time appear to be accepting the minimum. You failed to demand landscaping that would work for all seasons. It is our belief that if we had not spoken up so strongly, it would have remained as drawn up by the applicant's engineer purely to their cost benefit. This all leads us to the belief that you have failed and have worked not to the benefit of the community you serve, but the applicant. Now, perhaps there are things that we cannot see, but appearances point to us being abandoned. You have spoken more about the future parking lot for Angry Orchards in a public meeting than the warehouse impacting so many lives. So now, without the thousands of dollars put out to lawyers and engineers, here's what we want. We want the Lot 2 building, because everybody has wants, right? Including an applicant that's coming here asking for what they want. We want building 2, or lot 2, building to be reduced in size and set back from 17K by approximately a quarter acre, with the existing berm and landscaping filled out even more so. We do not want to see it, nor hear it. We want it to appear much like McKenson on Neelytown Road. We would accept the building on lot 1, the lower, larger warehouse, to be built much larger. We want to see whatever is built on lot 2 to be in a nature that conforms to the community it abuts. It could be zone changed to a B4. This certainly could be done if desired by the owner if it is truly wished to go forward and offload this troublesome property. Or, as with the lot 3 building, build something of a different use, more commensurate, less harsh. We want hours of operations to be clearly stated and mutually agreed upon. It should be no Sundays, no holidays, with short hours on Saturday, and normal business hours allowing a quality of life for those who have existed before this island was created or what this applicant wants. The inferred reduction of hours stated by the lawyer would impose a significant and detrimental burden on the value and use of the premises. That's a want for a proposal for an unknown operator for an unknown business. Surely, clearly, a want. We want to live our lives with the value that we had originally when we all came here to live. Yes, things change, but how they change and to what level harsh use is what this discussion is really all about. We respect the need for the family's desire to move beyond this troublesome, problematic property, but not at the expense of dozens of residential households' quality of life, loss of home value, which is often the most major investment a person makes, lives that are safe from excess noise pollution, traffic, and general safety considerations, and a location that is built in harmony with the RA and B4 areas along Route 17K, at least to the north and west of the site. As stated, a larger warehouse to the south, where it was originally zoned industrial, is acceptable with proper treatment for the view shed to the west. So, this is what the residents want. And speaking to a business person who interacted with Montgomery in the past, they used to say, and this was not that long ago, wow, Montgomery, to get things done here, you really had to toe the line. It was like pulling a camel through the eye of a needle. Man, they were tough. They were thorough. They held everybody to a tight line. Now, he looked at me, he made a grimsy face, and he made it with disgust. I think that you're better. I know the code, you know the code. I know you have a lawyer, you have an engineer. They're all supposed to be looking out for the benefit of the residents. Again, I want them to make good on their property, Chairman Reichel, everybody on this board. But I have yet, like I stated, why not a pushback? Why not state, I'm sorry, you can divide it 3 ways, but this top one, you need to be more commensurate. None of that has happened. So I, as a citizen, with all due respect, feel completely abandoned. I have given up my personal life for over 5 months. 5 months of being sick to my stomach. And I stand here, and a lawyer looking at other papers, an engineer looking away. Thank you for looking at the board members, and I don't wish this on any of you. So please, pull the camel through the eye of the needle. Do due diligence. Push back. Don't accept the minimum code requirements, because unfortunately, it bleeds into what that reputation of Quantum was. And again, I'm the one who found that listing, searching out information. Lenient code, lenient board. I think you got more backbone than that. I ask you to use it. Use common sense. Force what's right here. Don't stop them. Let's just address it and adjust it. Thank you.
Anyone else in 915, 17K?
Hi, I'm Sue Reichart, and I certainly support what Sharon had to say, totally. I guess, well, I keep reading, I keep looking up special use exceptions, and every single thing I read comes up and says compatible with the surrounding area, in harmony, zoning in place to promote the health, reduce traffic, monitor light and airflow for the residents. Usually, they keep in industrial, residential, and agricultural in separate areas. And I can't say that that's happening now, it's kind of merging, as everybody is saying. And also to control businesses by schools. That's really not that far away from Berea. I mean, we're almost directly across from Berea, so we see what goes on there every day. It's certainly gotten a bit better since they don't have the crossing guard there, who got hit twice and different things like that. But it's still a major issue in the morning with traffic and what's going on. So that's really all I have to say. I'm depending on you to do your job, and I keep going also back to sometimes in the law they keep saying there's a reasonable man test. Would a reasonable man really look at this situation and say this is what a reasonable man would decide? And that's all I have to really say tonight. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Yes, Nina?
So, I just wanted to say something related to this Skibitsky property. Nina Snyder Montgomery, I was wanting to cross over 17K, just a mile and a half down the road from this, to take some pictures by the bridge today, and I couldn't cross. And I wanted to say about the traffic situation, the current traffic situation, and the fact that we're not looking at a cumulative traffic for all of these projects. And I know other people have mentioned this, but we're not even including what the village of Montgomery has already approved of for development and warehouses. And if, as Maria spoke to, first off, if this comprehensive traffic study, these are all related, and traffic indeed is a huge issue in our town. And I just wanted to say it's just a ripple, and I think it's more important than the attention it's being given. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hey, Corey?
I wasn't really gonna speak, so I understand you're gonna keep this hearing open. So I guess, just kind of curious why we have not really had any further discussion about the hours of operation. I know that's in your purview.
We had,
When,
we talked about it at the workshop, your wife was there.
right, that's where we cannot comment or participate.
No,
So
well-
why don't we do it here where we all have open access to say?
Sure.
And I presented some hours I thought were reasonable
Yeah.
last time, but I don't know what you decided. There's no meeting minutes to look at,
We-
and there was no
we-
video of it, so.
I think the board, 8 to 2 Saturdays, I think it was no Sundays or holidays. And then what did we do during the week? This is what we discussed at the workshop.
What was the time?
I think this was at the last meeting, not sure.
Right, no, but at the workshop, we were discussing hours.
You were talking no Sundays, no holidays, the weekday hours and Saturday were yet to be discussed.
Right.
You had said you were going to start with less and would go forward according to when the applicant came in. And you also said that you were gonna go to RAC 20, is that right? In another business that were, smaller business, more on scale, in other warehouses to try to get an idea
Of the timing.
of their timing, and that's what I recall from the
Okay.
first.
So you've done that? I mean, we haven't done that yet.
Well, our big concern, one of the big concerns at the workshop was that the fire company wanted access around the building and it may change the plan. So we wanted that to get resolved first.
Okay, okay,
So now that got done,
okay.
we've come in with new plans, which we just got, which we're just getting tonight.
Right, all right, I can understand, I just was
Mhm.
afraid, I didn't want to be shut down, but I hope that we would all have an equal voice. I know you do these at work sessions, I have to work, so I
No,
can't
I
make these
understand.
things. And there's really nothing to reference to, so I would think it'd be done here. The other question I was just thinking about, is the well and your document, and what did you guys determine on that?
Yeah, we did.
We asked you for the site, and you said it was some from 2004 you got on the website.
Right.
I'd urge you to not rely on material that's on the website. I don't know who put it there.
Sarah must have.
This, I mean, this is what, I mean, you see it, so you know what it is.
At the end of the day, it's not the law in the town, it's not in our sub-regs. As a matter of fact, our sub-regs, and I encourage you to get a copy of the current Montgomery sub-regs, because it lays out the test well process. And it's not mandatory, it's not must put in prior to a public hearing. All the things that you mentioned turned out not to be the law in Montgomery. And I'm not being critical, but
No,
I need
I
to
mean,
correct the record.
Right.
Because it makes it look like we're not following our own laws when in fact we are. And again, if that material is there, I urge someone.
Somebody to
other than
remove
me,
it then.
'cause I can't get it removed.
Right, but I mean, this is all I got to go on, I.
Town sub-regs lay it out, they were modified extensively by local law in 2012. And they're pretty comprehensive and they're followed.
Local law, what was that, what was local?
It was a local law from 2012 that wholly readopted the subdivision regulations in the town.
You should send us them. I have them in our office.
Okay.
Look.
And there's an entire section on the topic you brought up.
Right, 'cause I know you were talking about how Orange County Department of Health was gonna handle this as well.
Well, they have their own protocols, but when they review, it's always after our public hearing closes, because they review between preliminary and final. Where they don't review, then we make a case-by-case assessment. In fact, there was a 3-lot residential subdivision with water issues. And you recall, we made them put the test well in before the hearing.
We draw down on the neighborhood.
Really?
Because
Yeah.
there were data to show that there were pretty likely impacts.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I have to take your word for it, 'cause I did speak to, Orange County Department of Health, and although he wouldn't really go into a lot of specifics, he did allude to the fact that, yeah, he thought it would be a good idea to do all these testings prior to being built, so it gives them, time to review it, to review the results, and to say yes or no, and to give any other improvements that may be needed for a public system, which I guess this is gonna be considered a public
Well, you gotta be
water
careful,
system.
and I'll let the
Well-
applicant, there's a difference between a public system,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah,
building
yeah.
serves, and a community water supply, which I think
Right.
is more than 25
25
employees.
hookups, or 25 people per day, or at least 5 hookups. However, because this is proposing 90 people, he says, yeah, it's a private well, but it's gonna be considered public well. That was the Orange County Department of Health was telling me that today. And that they really should do quantity and quality of standards, because how do you know? How do you know? You're gonna pass this and you don't know the water is there sufficient, doesn't have contamination in it because of the landfill. You know, I mean, this is what he was giving me. This is, something I hope that you're gonna look into.
The county health department looks into it after it's drilled. They will review the results.
After it's drilled. So how do you approve the whole project if you don't know the water well will be sufficient? That it meets the code that they've done, maybe the applicant has to do something else to take care of,
It would be between preliminary and final approval.
that would not be part of the public hearing to comment on, or what may change, what may not change,
We
due to
can
those
have-
results.
We can have a final public hearing.
We can have a public hearing.
Session, have a final public hearing, so if there is significant issues with the well,
Right.
one, Orange County Department of Health could, review, and deny, the application ultimately.
Right.
Or if the board sees any issues with findings of the well, they could reopen the
So
public hearing. Okay, and all of the information that's provided, to the Orange County Department of Health is CC'd to the planning board if it's a matter of public record.
Okay, like I said, it was a quick conversation I had, because I finally figured out who to talk to, and I was just trying to figure that out, along with the unfortunate document that is online that says, where I thought the town planning board was holding them, or holding all applicants to a higher standard, like people say, not just a minimum standard, go a little higher, make it a little tougher. You know, like I said before, you guys are the only people I have that's protecting me, my investment. A lot of my residents, neighbors, they don't want to come anymore because they feel this is a done deal. They think this is a total waste of time. And I don't agree with that. That's why I'm still here. But, okay. So you're going to continue the public hearing?
Yes, definitely.
We'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Board, Rich, you have a comment?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Thanks. First of all, we always send projects to the applicable fire chief, depending on the area of town. But this is the first time we've ever seen where we had the fire chief negotiating for the planning board on site plan.
He was negotiating on emergency access.
I understand, but usually the fire chief sends us back saying, I need this access, and we
He did.
prepare the site plan, but at this point, the fire chief and the project engineer were negotiating what needed to be accomplished, and I find that unusual.
I was
I
not
don't wanna
part of
answer.
any, first off, you made a statement, I just wanna correct you, Rich, and I apologize. I was not part of the discussion, I was not at the meeting at all. It was between the applicant and the fire chief, not the applicant's engineer, not myself.
I'm sorry, Larry, if I put you in the middle of it, the applicant and the fire chief usually is not appropriate. I don't think that the fire chief acting on behalf of the planning board is
No,
appropriate.
he wasn't. The fire chief had requirements that they needed for emergency
And
access.
they tell us,
No, they sent us a letter, and we told the applicant that they had to get together with the fire chief and come up with a solution. That we are reviewing now. So hopefully it'll work, but we don't know that it'll work, because it's still under review.
it seemed like they want to start further. And typically, common driveway agreements like we have on this project for 3 subdivision parcels. I mean, we've seen them in residential subdivision cluster developments. Not common driveway agreements for commercial projects, subdivisions. I don't recall.
We're gonna have it on maybe Bracken County, on a lot of these where there's multiple buildings on one site. There's usually cross easements for ingress, egress, and utilities that may not always be the same.
As a matter of fact, our code requires that we encourage commercial applicants to share driveways, which is good
Okay.
planning. And, that's work.
Shopping centers and other examples.
Yeah.
And common stormwater detention.
It's the same. It'd be the same. There's a drainage wall, put into one spot, all stop.
I kind of recall mostly that we kind of wanted subdivided projects to stand alone by themselves. I mean, I'm bringing it up in this case because of the special landfill. Lot 3.
Which we don't have a plan for.
I know, and basically, if nothing is done there, they're supposedly supposed to contribute towards maintenance of the driveway, maintenance of the
Yeah.
stormwater detention, and we got no way to hold them to do that if they don't come back to us.
Remember, the owner of that lot would be responsible. Right now, it's the applicant who's going left here, and go from there. But it'll be a binding agreement for those 3 lots. The title will be subjected to it.
Yes, I realize. I just,
Anything else? Yes, Rose?
I have a question for you. Only because I haven't seen the map yet, and the answer could be on the map. The third access off of lot number 2, is only for emergency, vehicles?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Is there going to be a crash gate on there to prevent people from going in and out?
Whatever the board needs, or whatever the whatever the board feels is appropriate. We show the access, if the board or the fire company would like a gate, you know, or a crash gate, you know, we're happy to provide. And so it's not shown there's no gate shown at this point, because I wasn't sure if the board wanted that, or if the fire chief wanted that. So what we wanted to do was take the first step in showing the access, and if the access was acceptable to the board as well as the fire company, then we would make any appropriate changes to make sure that it was only accessible by fire company.
I'll follow up on that for you.
Okay.
Yes, Andrew.
We did get a chance to look at it briefly today. One thing I noticed, it doesn't have a gate, but we're suggesting it should have a gate because that access road is going in between the stormwater basins. I would suggest that thing is gated and only used for the emergency. Larry, when you come in off of Bracken Road onto that path and you have to make a left to get around the loading dock area, there's a well right there, right on the edge of that. I think either the road should move or the well should move. If somebody doesn't stay on that road and they clip that well, if it's a fire truck, that could do a hell of a lot of damage.
Understood. We'll look into that. The well symbol is quite large on the plans. So we measured it. It's about 3 to 4 feet off the edge of the gravel drive. But if you feel that you want to move that, we're
Snow, dark, and fog. Somebody could hit it, that's all. If a
Understood.
fire truck
Yeah.
hit it, you don't want to lose a fire truck.
Understood.
Very sensitive.
Anyone else? Sure.
Clarify something, you just said you don't know what lot 3 was gonna be when he brought it up. I thought the applicant's lawyer said it was supposed to be, the applicant currently had a contract to sell a lot 3 to a buyer for short-term repossessed automobiles.
I don't
Is
think
that
that's
it?
still on the table.
That's changed? That's the last.
We were under the impression it had.
Has it?
We do not have,
Anything for lot 3 planned right now?
we have an office build, we have 1,000 square foot
Right.
office building shown and a storage
Gravel.
yard.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a gravel storage yard, but then I heard, here you guys are passing judgment, they already have contract for supposedly a.
And anything that would come in, Corey, would have to come before
That's
us.
what, okay,
Yeah,
that's what,
it-
because this is all spec build as far as I see it.
Yes.
You don't know, we don't know what you're gonna allow in our neighborhood. Chemicals, drugs?
No, I
Automobile?
think it's dry goods, I
What is it?
believe,
In the warehousing?
in the warehouse.
How do you know? You don't even know who, you're telling us you don't even know who's gonna run it. So how do you know what they're
Well,
gonna
they
do
would
with
be
it?
limited to what they could put in there
Okay, that's it. So you're gonna set that, say, this
Yes.
is what's going in.
as part of the permit.
We'll probably say what you can put.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, chemicals, drugs, I have no idea,
Paint,
so.
stuff like that.
All right.
Okay.
And that 4-foot berm, which was nice of them to remove the 17K road cut, is out now.
Out.
And they're gonna put a 4-foot berm still with,
Across it.
I don't know, 10-foot blue spruce trees?
The width of the berm varies.
It's the width,
The top
the height.
width, the top width of the berm varies, as well as the height.
But you're still planning to put the higher planting spruce to help screen.
That's correct.
Can you do that before you start construction? That would alleviate a lot of people's fears of, if you proceed to do this, that we don't see it, it will help mitigate noise.
See it less.
You'll see less.
I think it depends on, to answer your question, it depends on which lot would be constructed on. If lot 1 is being constructed on, understood
Okay.
that lot 1 is way in the
Three
back.
down. That used to be.
So they're not gonna go
Yeah,
on
sure.
to lot 2, but if lot 2 is constructed, lot 2 does require bringing down the grade.
Like a grade a little bit. Yeah.
So that would be easily graded up into that berm for part of it. I'll be honest with you, I think the plantings, because of the amount of water that the pine trees are gonna need, that the plantings would likely come later, but the berm could go in almost immediately.
Well, I was hoping, like, yeah, maybe you do the berm, sure, and then maybe put the planting in springtime and give it a couple years to take root before you get up there and start building possibly that lot 2, depending on what they decide.
Yeah, understood, but it's because it's not a native, you know, you're creating a berm.
Yeah.
It causes some concerns of planting such a large tree inside it without an irrigation system.
It's just, I mean, very upfront and honest, the deciduous trees that are blocking my view supposedly, they're all defoliating. I can stand on my deck and I can see the buildings further up in the decks. I don't need the site map and all that fancy stuff. I don't wanna see it. I mean, obviously that's my want, but you guys have to decide. You're protecting me, I hope. Thank you.
Board, any comments?
Excuse me, one more comment, Steve Renowski.
Yeah, I
Okay,
see.
how are you? I know in a prior meeting you were discussing, traffic flow with respect to accessing 17K off of Bracken Road.
Correct.
And you could limit that, you said, with respect to signage.
Yes.
Well, this morning I'm going down to the deli, sun in the eye, 52-footer, Cintas, crossing the road, making a right, stopping oncoming traffic in the westbound lanes. I mean, this happens all day, every day. So I can appreciate you, regardless of this situation or any other building, that signage be put into place as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, board, any comments, questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion then to extend this hearing out to, October 28th, 8 o'clock. We have two hearings before that, so maybe a couple minutes after. I have a motion. Motion by Jay, second by Rose. All those in favor signify by saying aye. This will be the public's notice that we'll continue this hearing on, October 28th, Monday, October 28th at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Next is Meadows at Pond's Edge, Coleman Road, 18 lot cluster subdivision, recommendation of road bond reduction in town court.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Know how long my foot could go. Thanks. You're welcome.
Everybody get a chance, it's been, I didn't know you signed off on it.
Yes, I did.
Mike and entire page. Okay, anybody, any discussion on, road bond reduction for Meadows at Pond's Edge? Total construction cost down to 109, contingency 16, so bond grant total 125,894. Okay, down from 459. Very good. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the bond reduction? Rich, seconded by Jay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Jay, if you handle this next one for me, please, because I'm recused. I'm a joint landowner.
Okay, Post Road Estates is seeking another extension for 90 days. Due to still waiting for final review, is it from the health department? DPW, okay. So I'll accept the motion to extend the approval for Post Road Estates for 90 days till January 8th? 7th, okay. By John, seconded by Rose. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Okay, approval of the June 25th, 2018 planning board meeting minutes. Anybody have anything with substance on June 25th, 2018? Just a couple things. Nothing substantive. All right, motion to approve June 25th, 2018 minutes by Rose, seconded by Jay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Abstain. Wasn't here.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to remember that.
Approval of February 11th, 2019 planning board meeting minutes. Anybody got anything on February 11th, 2019? Some corrections? Motion to approve of February 11th, 2019. Ryan, second by Rose. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, July 8th, 2019. Minutes. Okay. Nothing too extraordinary. Bill wasn't here. Okay. Motion to accept the July 8th, 2019 minutes. Jay, seconded by Rose. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Abstain again.
Right.
I took my vacation then.
That's right. Approval of August 26th, 2019 minutes. Any two corrections? Entertain a motion to accept them. Jay, seconded by Ryan.
Great
All those in
job.
favor signify by
I
saying
don't
aye.
think so tonight.
And approval of the October 2nd, 2019 work session minutes. When we get to the relevant and well, okay. Thanks, Sue. Any comments on October 2nd? Okay. Entertain a motion to accept the work session minutes. Jay, seconded by Rose. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right, there was something on the solar law?
No, it's, the town board introduced a law regarding construction bonding and certain requirements. And we didn't have a lot of time. I don't know if, I gave my comments directly to the town attorney because it's such a short window. And Andrew also pointed out that the planning board engineer generally doesn't do the post-planning board approval, inspections, certifications, bond release. That's typically the town engineer on behalf of the town board and the highway department. So Andrew made that comment. The rest of it is, it's not like a zoning amendment per se, it's more about the process for a developer to post letters of credit or cash. What I do like about the law is it prohibits surety bonds, which state law allows. So I think it's great that we're having this now going on record. I don't know if you saw my memo, but a surety, you end up fighting not only the developer who defaulted, but now the surety doesn't want to pay you. A letter of credit, you walk down to the local bank and hand them a sworn statement, and they're supposed to hand you the check. So, that's the main reason. So I like that in the law. The other comments were really legal, technical comments, hopefully, Bluestein firm can get it cleaned up.
Motion to send out over those.
Yeah, I don't know if the board had any of its own comments, because it's, like I said, it's more legal. Well, we did make a comment that they refer to the section 235, which has been a bone in the vein of our existence for a long time. Somehow, that code section got electronically, and it's what people read. And they throw 235 back at us, and you can't find that in the zoning book. It just doesn't, you don't know where to look. So we urge the town attorneys not to use that section. For the solar law, they made up a new numbered section to fit well, and here we're suggesting they do the same thing. So, I don't know if you need to send any more comments.
We didn't have any more, right?
Maybe you wanna send the town board a 2-line memo that, we have nothing to add to what our consultants have already said, only because you don't want them to respond.
All right, does that sound good to everybody? Motion to put a 2-line statement. John, second, Rich, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just for information purposes, is it, there are big difference in cost to the applicant for surety bonds and?
Well, it's a good question. The letter of credit is definitely a percentage of the amount involved.
Yes.
I have to think that the the surety bond is the same thing, because it's all about risk.
Right.
And if the surety bond is to cover a $5 million obligation, I assume the premium is higher than if it's to cover a $500,000.
I didn't think so, but I'm not sure.
And we'll always take cash.
A big old pile of it.
I just have a question, if that's okay.
Sure. You want us to, you want the whole board or just a couple?
Everyone.
Okay.
This seems like the most reasonable group of people of all of the meetings that I've been to, and we can't get an answer at all, ever, from the town board meetings at all. So I guess, I just wanted to see if anybody can answer why, if you're taking the time to do these positions, there's not any more communication with the residents, or any, like, I know that you can't stop and talk to everybody every single time to make comments, but I feel like there's this divide between the residents and the boards, and I don't understand. If we're all working together and we all live in the same community, it's not like you're outsiders. Why is there such a lack of empathy and understanding and a little bit of a dialogue?
I'll be honest with you, what I'm concerned about is talking with a resident on a planning issue and misspeaking.
Okay.
Giving bad information or misinformation. And if we had 7 people out there throwing stuff around, it could get pretty crazy.
Everybody's looking for a gotcha, I feel like, all the time, all the time.
And it's where we are, not just here, all over. It's nationally, that everybody's looking for an edge or for something, and that's unfortunately a sign of our time.
And how come if there's so many projects and such a lack of resources and there's so much on your plate and it feels like all of the responsibility and all of the blame falls on you at the end of the day? If I were sitting in your seat, I would be at those meetings, I would be making meetings with Ron, I would be asking, I would be, not that you're not, there doesn't seem to be a representation of that to us sitting in the seat.
You're right, we're not, but if we go to the town board and we start complaining about a project that's under application, how does that look for us reviewing it now?
So how do we make this work? I mean, we need to do
We have the
better.
zoning
How do
code
we
to
do
follow.
it?
We have the letter of the law to follow, and we try to make the plans, when they come in, we always try to make them better, always.
Right, so what I've seen when I'm talking to everybody is that no one, and I don't mean this as, with any disrespect, it's from just an observation, that no one's going one step outside the scope of what the requirements of their board and their job is. So how do we get everyone to communicate, to kind of expedite the things that should be expedited and make changes to, I feel like if somebody went to Medline, for instance, in the beginning and said, look, I have my finger on the pulse of the community, these are the real concerns here, not that everybody has a complaint concerns, the real concerns, even if it's going above and beyond what's required as far as the environmental things that they need to meet, they probably would have done it. I mean, instead of spending money and time on legal fees and ads and paper, they probably would have been more than happy to do it, as are some of the other applicants, I would think. Where is that missing piece?
Let me bring one thing up to you. The environmental, you just brought up environmental and going the extra mile, going beyond what the codes require that we'll follow. For these large projects for sailfish and also for Medline, the board, with Jay's direction really, wanted to go a little farther. We all saw what happened at Lakewood.
Mm-hmm.
There was some bad instances of what happened over there on construction. And the board wanted to make damn sure that they did whatever they could to make sure that type of environmental issue doesn't happen. Downhill of sailfish, of course, you have the wetlands and the tinwood. Downhill of Medline, you have the wall plus. The board is very conscious of these things. So working together with the engineering and the tools that we have, contacting the DEC, we came up with what we call enhanced erosion control devices. All of the things that we can implement, that we can come up with, even working with suppliers of these products that put things out that will mitigate, not even mitigate, prevent erosion.
And be more durable
Yeah.
on the ground.
We're trying to find the better way to do it, and we did a lot on this. That's just one example. We're going way over the other mile.
We've reached out as a board to the DEC over, well, not around the applicant, but with their knowledge, check on the sewage treatment for both these big projects. We've asked them directly, rather than go through the applicant's engineer or the applicant's consultants. And they've been very responsive. On a lot of different projects, we go directly to the DEC, because they're actually a permitting agency in these situations. So, there's a lot we can do. We try to be very careful and not in keeping separate so that we can do our job and everybody can do theirs. There is a liaison, we have a liaison with the town board we stay in touch with, just to keep a dialogue.
In the future, if there's gonna be this much building and this much change and this much distrust in our local government, and some of it is warranted and some of it is just hysteria, there should be a liaison with residents, I think. And I don't know how you would do that, but it should be looked at a little bit. Like, if you can't say it because you're afraid to misspeak, someone to at least say, like, listen, I'm listening to what they're doing. They are looking out for us. They are doing the things that need to be done. They are going above and beyond and asking questions, because sitting here, it looks like nobody's doing anything. And that's just a feeling. I'm not implying that you're not doing anything.
It's
but it's like,
understood.
come on, guys, say something. Can we have some communication, something?
I mean, what we try to do and what we do is have a scoping session, you know, at these big projects, when we pause deck something, and basically the pause deck puts the brakes on it and slows it up. Sailfish was, I don't know, 20 months, 22 months, and they're not fully done yet. It's gonna be 2 years, and Medline's gonna be, you know, well over a year, probably. So nothing's done in haste. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity for public participation. I mean, we've had 15, 20 people at workshops to listen and to see what goes on. And in a lot of cases, you know, we're not playing nicey-nicey with the applicants either.
Right,
We
yeah.
tell them what we want. I
So
mean,
maybe live streaming, I mean, this is exhausting. I don't know how you guys do it. This is exhausting coming to these meetings, like to try and step away 2 and 3 and 4 nights a week some weeks. And this is at the town level. I still have to pay attention at the village, because that's where my main issue is, because I feel not represented. So maybe live streaming. I just feel like there's just a lack of communication and response from you that I know that you kind of can't, because you want to protect yourself and you kind of don't want to or don't have to.
Well, we protect everyone, because if we said something that was wrong and somebody runs with it, we could be in real trouble.
Right.
Or if we prejudge a matter before all the evidence is in, it's a bad one. And I think there's a general distrust in the public because they don't like the projects, they don't like the fact that the zoning book says what it says. And because we're so open to comment, we end up getting the comment.
You guys
and
get
it's
the
our
comments,
fault.
not as much as the board, I'll tell
We're
you that
not-
right now.
We're not doing our job. We heard that about 6 times tonight, that we're not doing our job. I kept my mouth shut. It's not my role to butt in, but I'll butt in now and say, I agree with Andrew. This board does much more than people think, and perhaps much more than they wanna admit, because you don't get 95 engineering comments on the 3rd round of review with a conflicted engineer. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen.
And they're not little comments. They're pretty substantial.
One thing that's sitting on the other side, not being in this business, let's say, if I put myself out there as a resident, not being an engineer, not being in this business, and I listen to a public hearing where I ask a question but I do not get a response, that's odd. I understand that that's odd. Everything is taken in, the structure of these meetings has always been, as dictated by the state, I suppose, that take in the comments, reply in writing to make sure that you hit everybody's concern. It's odd. You ask me a question, it's odd if I don't respond, and
yes.
I get that. But, from a public perspective,
Yeah, I mean, there are some legal issues with hours of operation. I just have to tell everyone, including Corey. It's not open and shut. And Mr. Dickover, the applicant's attorney, reads the same cases I read. And, I'll be advising you folks at the right time confidentially about what we can do and what we can't do in an approval. And, you know, the finding statement for Sailfish was how many pages? 100 pages?
Well,
I mean, that's,
I didn't have to read it all.
that's why I just feel, I feel for everyone at this point. I've been paying attention to as much as I can for 4 months, and I think as an outsider that, you know, and maybe it's warm and fuzzy and naive of me to think that there can be more communication, but I feel like that's the missing piece that really would do a lot to ease the distrust and the hysteria that's happening. And if we could figure out a way to do it, that would be
that would be
fantastic.
great, because I think you're right. But, we meet 3 times a month. Usually 2 hours is the minimum, and sometimes it can be longer. I don't know how much more meeting and liaison time the boards will need to commit.
I don't think it needs to be more time on your time. I think it's hard. You meet 3 times a month, as does everybody else. So for us to try and feel like we're paying attention to what's going on, we're at, you know, 7 and 8 and 9 meetings a month. That's a lot. So
I'm not entirely sure that everyone's going to be understanding each other on the same page, because there's a lot of stuff. This board, I don't think a lot of people really understand what this board's job really does. I bite my tongue. I agree with that. When I hear the public telling this board what its job is, because I don't think that they really know. And it's going to sound rude if the board tries to explain to them.
It's not my job.
Has very little power just to make sweeping determinations and just to say no. This board is here to administer the zoning law, and even things that seem as though they're plain language and they mean just what they mean, well, they don't actually mean just what they mean. And he just alluded to that in terms of like the applicant's attorneys and planning boards, we all read the same case law. So what may seem like, oh, this word means such and such, well, guess what? It really doesn't. And those of us who are in the business, who are advising the boards, or who are advising the applicant, understand that. And, I mean, you really have to bring your pajamas and you know, a cot if you're gonna sit there and think that this is gonna get explained, or that people even can.
Or they want to hear it. I know.
Right, because, I mean, there have been cases even where this board has tried to explain the limits of their power and what their role is. And there have been times where the public has been pleased to hear it for that meeting. And then 2 weeks later, they're frustrated about the same things, and they aren't, you know, and they will say the same thing the next meeting. So at some point, you have to kind of realize that part of this is a frustration with things that are not able to be controlled. I mean, none of us really likes change. I mean, I get, you know, there is nothing more important than your house, your business. I mean, this is your life's work, your largest investment, but there are still limits, and you know, it's, yes, the planning board's concerned about individual citizens' rights, but they also have to protect the rights that the applicant has, because they have property rights too, and nobody wants to hurt them.
I get it. For me, I like my business, I need my business to do well, and it will only do well if the village does well overall as a business. So I'm looking to the future, so I'm not anti-development, but I do understand, and I live on Chandler Lane, I don't wanna look at it either. I get both sides of it, I do, but I'm gonna keep bothering you to try to figure out a better way to communicate so that the residents do feel represented.
That started out wrong. Medline started out way wrong.
Yeah, that was bad.
From-
That was not a good look for
No,
anyone.
From day one. I mean, I sat out front with Mike Hayes, and talked about a big project over there at a picnic table, and he walked away.
Yeah, I think they would have gone above and beyond, and the naysayers may not have had so much to say. I mean, if your main concerns are environmental and they wanted to throw all this money and time at fixing it and really solving all of the problems, what else will there to be complaining about? I mean, mean, they're willing to work with the traffic, they're willing to do all of these things, and again, I'm not a Kool-Aid drinking headline lover, I just, you know, let's be realistic. So, I'm gonna keep bothering you, but thank you, I appreciate your time, I know you're all
Hold on one
exhausted.
second. Just hold on 1 second, you might not know this, but every project has 2 planning board members assigned to it. And we do walk those projects,
Okay.
okay? And I'll just, the project that we walked on BHT, which was on 17K, we spent 3 hours a clip, 4 days, that was 12 hours. That project's now gone.
Right, so it's nothing, you don't take it lightly either. I mean, I understand that, I appreciate it, I really do at this
The
point.
liaison with the public would be, and of course, you know, this has just come up because everything's coming to a head here.
Yeah.
You know, this wasn't even like this for Sailfish. And once the other project hit and the altercation happened, then everything happened. And that's the timeline. Not that it wasn't gonna be some sort of aversion to it all, but that's when it really got ramped up.
I think it's time to not do things the way we've always done it, and that is definitely the one thing that I've been met with quite a bit, is that's not the way we've always done it, and that's the way we've always done it. So I think it's time to try to figure out a way to do it differently that doesn't require more on the people that are wanting to do these positions, because I don't envy your position at this point. It's a lot, it's asking a lot. You're doing it because you care, you're doing it because you wanna do it, and you're getting nothing but
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
disrespect. So, I appreciate your position, but I'd like to try to do it a little bit better, so.
And I think to a large extent, the public has gotten, aside from a few people, the public has been very cordial and polite. It's really been, you know, the EIS hearing, we've had a couple outbursts, but really it hasn't been, I think it gets worse other places, honestly. But for everything that's going on, you know, everybody's been pretty good, and I'll just sit here and let him talk to me how he wants to, because that's what I gotta do. That's the way I look at it. I'm not gonna engage him, because then it's just a fight. And
Well,
then nobody
thank you.
wins.
No, nobody wins there, I agree, but I appreciate it, and you can always call the planning board office and send an email. All right, thank you very much, have a good night.
You're welcome, Ray.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Ryan? Okay. Second by Ryan, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Thanks, everybody. So Ryan, in between